Let's call this meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Niger.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Penny.
Here. One item today, budget.
Hello, budget.
Good morning. Oh, gosh.
Of course, he's got the bad news page right on front,
Yep.
but that's not really bad news, as we know, because we added those carports, which is a good idea. So, I mean, it's just, I don't see how that, that's
What are those carports rated for hurricane wise? They gotta have a rating, don't they?
I don't know, I think they have to go up by code, right?
Terry can answer that specifically, but yes, it would have to meet the current Florida building code.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a big component of that for our area, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these, I started by giving you a copy of the capital budget with the changes, and basically, we increased the 2025 capital budget by $61,000 at our last meeting. And this page up top here just kind of shows the items that made the changes. On the carports, that's just a rough estimate. We haven't gotten actual estimates. I just went on the internet and was looking at aluminum type covers, garage type things, and came up with those prices. So those aren't hard.
Still waiting on Sean,
We're still waiting on Sean.
okay, for actual prices.
What is he doing? Oh, you mean to add?
What do you do?
No, to find out what the carports are really gonna cost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because I, recollect that Terry had said, oh, you can get them with solar panels on the top, so really just depending how far we wanted to go with this thing, is gonna really depend, but I wanted to get some numbers in there, so.
Oh, for lighting, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if we could create a power share, I don't know how any of that would work, you'd have to
That would
talk.
probably be a good idea if it worked. You don't have to run any electricity to it, if you need a, because you're only there during the daytime, right? Well, unless at night you wanted some kind of light in it, I don't know why, for protection. But oh, well, something to think about.
So we'll let Sean talk with them about it and see what our options are and come back. We also moved back the tablets that we had in 2026, 14,750 for 5 for the directors and then 5 for the commission, so we pulled those back. We added a new planning table in CID, an additional for 9,000. We added one in the fire station for 9. And we moved the photocopier forward to 2026, I believe, so we took that out. So when you net all those changes, it came to a plus 61,000. And I didn't put an exhibit number on the next page, but that's just a summary. It changed very slightly, the appropriated fund balance, and the transfers changed slightly, and a number of the equipment line items changed, so I don't think we want to go through that, or
Yeah,
if you do,
we're
we
good.
can, yeah. And from there, today I was gonna try to cover 3 departments, legislative, fire and EMS, and then public works. So I think we'll go ahead and start with legislative, because I think it's gonna be, I also gave you a new 5-year plan. I'm not gonna look at that.
Which,
Exhibit A, legislative, and actually, I'm thinking A2 would be a better one to work off of. And A3 kind of gives you a 5-year history of the account, so you can kind of look at it. And I don't really have a whole lot. I had just a few comments. The commissioners and mayor's salary, we bumped that 4% based on the COLA, just in the same group as general employees and firefighters, so that's up by 4%. The only other item I really saw was legal services, and I was gonna maybe let Julia talk on that if she wanted briefly.
Sure.
Um,
Tell me when you want me to
You can just.
go for it right now?
Yeah, basically, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, we have served in the capacity of providing legal services for, I think it was before my time, obviously, maybe 10 years?
12.
Since 2012. So we have been doing this for a substantial amount of time. We did do this in response to an RFP. Our rates that we have as part of your package, you know, have been in place for a very long time. And right now, what our rates are is we have a $3,500 a month retainer for just general services, and then things outside the retainer, either litigation or more significant matters, we charge $195 an hour. Over time, those rates, you know, have become not the norm in the government setting. They are relatively low, and over the last couple of years, I had been talking to Jim and Carly about an opportunity to raise our rates somewhat, not a significant amount, but somewhat to be more in line with other governmental entities. So what we're requesting right now is to raise the rate from a $3,500 retainer to a $5,000 a month retainer to cover services, you know, meetings, you know, general questions, you know, talks with Carly, and we try really hard to be very judicious about what we put in the retainer and raise our hourly rate from $195 to $225. This is on the low side still, but in line with what other smaller municipalities are paying for services. And I say this as, you know, I enjoy and love working with you all and working with staff, and it's certainly a relationship that is very important to me. But I did feel, because I, you know, have partners in my law firm who, other partners in the government sector have been raising the rates, that I had to at least make that request. The only other thing I want to say, and I say this with absolute love, is it is certainly always within your authority to say, you know what, we haven't looked at our legal services in a long time, and to decide whether or not maybe you would like to go back out for another RFP. I want to tell you that that would not offend me at all. I feel like I would still be in a good position to apply, but I only say that because I don't want you to think that I'm placing you in a difficult position asking for our rates to be increased, but that really is in line. I think if you were to go out for an RFP, what I'm proposing is probably what you would end up with on a certain level, and maybe even higher. All of the governmental entities that I represent are at least at 250. So, but given that you're a smaller municipality, given that really it's important for me to see your city grow, I didn't go up to that rate, but wanted to at least talk to you all about the idea of raising our rates a little bit.
Well, I work with a number of lawyers every day, and if I could get a lawyer for $225 an hour, I'd be happy. So, I think it's fair. Like I said, this hasn't gone up in a long time.
I don't think, if they've raised their rates, it's been once.
Yeah, it's just been like forever.
Maybe.
So to me, it's fair. I don't see a problem with it.
Well, and I
It's
think the
fine.
fact that Gray Robinson's such a large firm, and when we do need expertise in other areas
They're
for
right there.
employment issues, whatever,
Yeah.
we've, you know, Julie is always there too, but I mean, we do have people with other expertise that Carly uses.
I talked to them
And,
yesterday.
yeah, I think
They've been
it's,
well served by them.
I think so
Thank you. I
too.
appreciate that. But I wanted to give you all those options just in case, you know, and like I said, I wouldn't be offended if that was a decision point to check out other opportunities, but we certainly enjoy working with you all, and it is one of the reasons I came to Gray Robinson was the opportunity to be able to represent local governments, and especially smaller local governments, with the types of services that we can provide.
Okay.
All right,
We're good?
let's move on to the next department.
That being said, on that, 5,000 a month comes to 60,000.
Yeah.
Our budget is 75, so I put an extra 15. Past couple of years, we haven't really been spending a lot.
Need a little fluff in there.
Yeah, but so I feel like it could be a little bit low, but, you know, probably no more than 85, but I went with the 75. We do have another 15,000 budgeted under fire services. This year is union negotiations, so we will need some of that, but I really doubt we will need $15,000. So we do have some reserves we could pull back over if we needed to. Okay. So I felt like 75 was a reasonable
Makes sense.
number to put in there. Okay. I didn't see any, the only other item I saw that was attention to me was the books, dues, and memberships. We paid $7,200, I think, in 7206 in 2023. So I bumped that up to 7,200 under dues and memberships.
That's basically, okay.
I got a listing of what we paid, but
That's all
the only one I saw that was different was there was a chamber, Clearwater Regional Chamber for $1,450.
Sounds like a dolphin. Sounds like a dolphin.
Okay, well, they put it under,
He was the
Dude.
first.
I'd have to go back
Membership.
and check, that's about what that dolphin cost, and the
okay.
Clearwater, Amplify Clearwater is the organization that those are from.
Yeah, I got paid on a credit card, so when they saw chamber, they put it under dues.
Well, aren't we talking about another dolphin? Where does that go?
I would probably put that under like advertising and promotion.
We'll go under books, dues, and membership.
Or capital, I don't know if you can capitalize that, because it's over at that rate. We can talk about that, but that's what that sounds like to me, is the dolphin.
Well, you are budgeting for that, right? Didn't we talk about that?
We haven't put a specific budget in, I mean, we have advertising and promotion.
You're
Yeah,
not charging it
When
to
we
fire.
get to administration.
Yeah, we'll talk about it with like admin and,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I would have, normally, we didn't budget it for the previous year. I would have normally put it under visioning or something like that, but,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, is where I would have put it, so.
we can look and see if that's what that was, but off the top of my head, that's what that sounds like.
Yeah, but it ended up in this account evidently, because when I saw the amount, I said, that's never been there, what is it? And when it said Chamber of Commerce, I think the girls assumed it was a dues, so that's where they charged it, so. Okay, so, do we want to knock that back down to 6?
It's up to you, yeah.
That's a way,
And I'll throw the 1450,
what's the,
Somewhere else.
Again, let me double check.
Maybe in
it.
visioning,
I'm
we
pretty
don't
sure
use that
that's what
whole
that
amount.
amount was, but let me go back.
We
and-
don't use the whole visioning amount, do we?
But we did last year, but that was because we paid for murals out of it.
Oh, right.
Chamber, I can't think of anything else.
I'm going back to look if that's how much that was. But I know it was right around that amount. When was that, May? When was that?
What month was it?
I think it was, yeah, it was like last spring that it went through. Here's the dolphin thing. Here, hold on one second. I have my receipt right here. Yeah, 1450. Yeah, that was the dolphin.
okay.
So, bump that back down to 6?
Yeah, I'm trying to see what, that was in 24, that's in this fiscal year, so we can reclassify that. 1450. Okay. Kind of left everything else unchanged, so if we're good. Okay, the next one is Exhibit B, is fire. I don't know if Chief wants to come up or if he feels safer staying back there.
So does the sheriff do like just a 7% increase every year? Is that kind of what happens?
What it's been averaging, but I think I don't think it's
It's been
straightforward. I think
3, 4 some years and then gone up over the years. 'Cause
and I,
What is it?
it's been, it's dependent, we've had some years where it's been 3, 4, I mean, it's CPI, it's based on a lot of stuff, but it's not straight 7s every year, it varies. So,
this last night, I budgeted the, 1,067,520, that's per their document that they gave us, but I realized we usually put an additional $500 in for block party.
Traffic control.
Yeah, do we want to do that, or?
Yeah, but if I'm gonna set it up again, I think we probably should, right?
Yeah, I realized it last night, because my percentage came to 6.96% on the sheet that I gave y'all on Exhibit B, but they're saying it's 7.01. They want to add 500 to the previous year, that's what it is. So, I did that 500 last year, so I'm gonna add $500
To that number.
yeah, to that, for the county sheriff. Traffic signals, 5335 is what they sent me, I believe. I put that in a month ago, so, the actual for 2024 is like 4,875, and I usually bump it for an increase, they never seem to increase. it,
What
but
does
they
that
did this
cover,
year.
traffic signal? That they take care of them?
Yes.
I'm telling you,
No, they're the worst.
I had to go through 2 lights to make the left light never turned on. It's up to you.
We set
Coming here
3 red
today.
lights at the, by Publix.
I was
on
sitting in the
Pasadena.
left-hand lane by Publix, turning in
Trying to make a
here,
left.
went twice, and it did, and then I just cut into the other lane and went around.
I started to ask the sheriff next to me if it was okay if we make a turn on the red, because I said, we've been here for 2 already. And
Here's the
then
problem.
Jay's-
Who takes care of that?
Which light is it?
Publix.
Oh, Publix turning this way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Phone call. I'll take care of it.
but I
And it-
need to
and it
talk to you
used-
in general.
It used to come on caution too, that
They
it
would
doesn't
blink.
do that anymore,
Yeah.
to let you go ahead.
Must be a
and turn.
sensor in the roads not sensing anybody sitting in that
It's
lane.
all
Before you
computer, that's what
close,
the cameras are.
I need
Is
to
it?
talk to you, because there's another issue too.
Could be
Sorry, but it's a mess.
All right, so this has only gone up a little bit, that's,
Yeah, and a sidebar to that, don't want to rock the boat because we collect money from DOT for traffic signal maintenance, and it's substantially more than that. So, and in one year, the county said, hey, you should be giving that to us. And they haven't
Said it again.
back at us since, so we're just kind of,
yeah.
Yeah, let's.
Give them a blueberry
so,
muffin.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
So,
There you
so I
go.
think we're getting a good
Perfect.
deal out of that.
Give
so.
them a muffin.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it. It is what it is.
Okay, so that's the sheriff, that we have, and then,
It's the transportation, just before we jump off that, the transportation local bus.
That used to be years ago, we had a bus that would go into, and pick people up and take them shopping and to the doctors and stuff. They'd go, actually pull into the condos and things. And then there was some of the condos that complained because there was strangers coming into the complex and
Oh, God.
were on the bus. So,
Off my lawn.
yeah, PSTO used to charge us for that. It's, the only reason it's in there is because the spreadsheet goes back many years, which is hidden.
it was a good service, but in the gated community where they, everybody's
Yeah,
gotta be
yeah,
checked
yeah,
coming in,
yeah.
it just didn't work.
On Exhibit B, the only thing I wanted to point out are the last 2 columns on there. What I did is I combined fire and EMS for 2025, 2024. And it's labeled page 3, but the second page of that, the total fire budget is $3,872,675. It's up about 9.1% compared to the 24 budget, $3,562,700. So, and I also try to give a 4-year comparison, but when we went to our new Tyler software, we decided to split fire and EMS because we have to do a true-up each year for our EMS contract. So we felt like that would help us keep better track of it. So when you go back to 2022 on this page, you're really looking at fire and EMS, and then 23, 24, and 25 is now just fire on this page. So
What was that contingency for this year that we didn't put in next year? The 15,000? Was the third number down from the top?
I'd have to go and look, I forget what it was for.
Guess it's something we don't need.
Right, the only question that I had, and we did not do anything, is, like when we go to,
Was that paramedic school, Jim, or something like that?
I'm gonna say, we
Well,
gave.
was that
we
like a
used
hiring incentive or something?
7,500 hiring incentive we used in one, I think last year we used it for that. Normally, when I put that contingency in, it's either for retirement type,
Right.
if we know
Something's
somebody's
coming
gonna
up.
retire.
Is anything, nothing coming up, huh?
Not
For
really,
retirement?
Not 25.
Not really, maybe, possible?
25 would end what? It's possible. One's possible, but I haven't heard for sure. December of,
That would be December.
of 24, so that would put it in that FY 25, right? Yeah.
Really,
But it's not an absolute, right, because there is the 5-year drop, so I'm just keeping track of who would be eligible as a potential.
To go into the drop.
So do you have to put anything in there, or not? Or that just get,
If we
doesn't that
thought
get,
it was positive, we would, but if,
but it gets smoothed out by the salary thing, right?
It could,
It could,
right?
yeah.
You take a top person hire,
If-
step one, it should, yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Depending on when in the year it happens, of course.
Well, because they were talking about one, maybe two, but probably only one.
I don't know, yeah, I have nothing concrete, so
Yeah.
I hate to speculate on, right, potentials.
I mean, if you want to give me the names outside of the meeting, we could see what their accrued sick would be and stuff like that. What the payout would be, and then we could put a contingency in there for it. But when I was looking at it, I did see the 7,500 incentive bonus, and I didn't know if we wanted to put something in for that, or if we feel pretty good on that.
Hopefully not. We're full staffed, like I said, I've got no notifications of leaving.
It looks like the major contributors to the 9% are the holiday time, the firefighter pension, health insurance, and regular insurance. Are the largest increases I see. All that's pretty much on the board.
Yeah, and the,
Insurance is killing us, isn't it?
Got a new station.
got a new station.
That's right.
And,
Gotta insure it.
and those are very rough numbers. They told me 100,000, because I told them, our total cost on it, 11 million versus a station that's valued at about 2. And when I asked them the cost, they said, well, that could be 100,000. But then they gave me a rate per 100, and I went through our construction, and I'm thinking we can knock that value down to 7.5 million, somewhere around there. So I came up with 67,000 for the new station, and maybe another, and flood insurance was 20 on the old station. I'm just assuming the same amount right now, but it's elevated, and it might get a better
Guess
rating.
we'll have to get an insurance appraisal
Yeah,
once
yeah.
it's completed.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get an elevation certificate and then put in for new flood insurance for that.
Does that include the insurance for the old station till we sell it?
Well, I have insurance in there already.
We gotta keep that.
Yes, as long as we have it, so, and it's around 20,000 because that's what I used. I just said, okay, twice, so.
We need flood insurance for the new,
That's
because of the city is a flood.
I'm gonna ask Terry, because I know we've just asked for the updated elevation certificate at project completion, which Biltmore's working on now. I would hope, based on being the all living area at 12 feet, we would get some kind of adjustment for that. Right, because flood insurance is if you have the risk of flooding, you elevate above flood plus 2 feet,
Yeah.
Mount Pasadena should not flood.
Mount Pasadena.
Sitting pretty high, yeah.
There was a lot of dirt going in there.
800,000.
There's a lot of dirt.
When I was going through there, I was trying to look at overtime, and overtime seems to be growing. It's trending towards about 118,198 for this year.
Is
And
that
that's
a
just-
rate or an amount, Joe?
Well,
If you think about this, right, in the last couple of months, we had a long-term injury, right? A surgery that required some long-term, and then we had an elective surgery. So I think we did have two long-terms that, you know, are kind of one-offs. Yeah.
Right.
So should that be back out for next year, or leave it as a contingency that something's gonna happen again?
It's really hard to,
Yeah.
Back something
I
like
mean,
that.
what I tried to do, we used to have a little formula that we used with the old chief, and I used to try to come up with, you know, a 3-day emergency, and I calculated it to be 38,000. But in 2023, we were at 107,000. Between the, you know, you can't see it here because it's split between EMS. You can see it combined on there. But in 2023, we were at 107, and I'm just projecting out to the 118 based on we're 8 months into the year. So it's hard to tell. But then if you say, okay, there's a 4% pay increase, I would have to bump to 118. That probably the 123, but I said I'm going to keep the 118, so 5. But we did have, like you say, I think we had 2 people out for extended coverage, so.
Did we have a deployment in there too? Was it Dahlia in that or the year before?
I
We had an
didn't-
EOC activation.
That was September.
I mean, we'd have to
August,
pull it out
September.
and get into the detail records. I was just going off of my ledger postings.
Sure.
And I didn't see any, I was looking for a time where it just really blew up, and it really didn't. It was kind of constant throughout the year. So, yeah, I couldn't see anything. I was expecting, if we, you know, went to the EOC, it's gonna,
Yeah.
and I didn't see that. I saw a lot of months with $5,000 in overtime, so, and I got it somewhere with me here. In the book, if you want me to look, but I just wanted to bring it up. I don't know, like I said, I used to use, like I said, 2023, we were at 107. We could back it down to 110 if you thought, and other than pulling those 2 employees' pay for the year and looking at it, but it's more like who, you know.
Yeah, it's both officers, so it's gonna be a higher bracket too.
on the second sheet, how come rescue vehicle license is there?
That goes under EMS.
But it hasn't
What sheet are we
for the
on?
previous years?
Are you on B2?
Yeah. No, Exhibit B, page 3.
Oh,
Right here, Jim. I
The
think
second
it's
to the
like you
last
said,
item.
I think we moved that to the
We-
EMS budget, that's why, right?
yeah. I don't know if there's one over here.
Because
Yeah, right here.
we have to license them to both vehicles, right?
That's every other year. I'll try to answer your question. We skip a year, but what was the question? We have it in 2025. That's really an EMS item. It's not a fire item. But this is a combined total over here.
So yes, both vehicles would get the ALS sticker through the state,
And that happens every
2 years.
2 years.
Every 2 years.
Okay.
And
I
you
just
don't,
didn't see it
you don't
anywhere.
see, you see zeros across on because this is just fire. When we get to EMS, you'll see the 1750 there.
They don't pay for any of that, we do.
What was
We
the,
pay.
Well, we pay, but then we submit with our EMS budget, so in theory, the county is paying
It's
that portion.
Reimbursing us, yeah.
Okay.
what was our decision on the overtime? Were we gonna leave it or go to the 100? Drop it down to 100,000.
110.
110, you guys think, just take it 2,500?
Maybe they're done getting hurt.
I hope so.
We could make that statement.
All right, so we're dropping overtime?
Let's do it, let's go to the 110. Just, it's pennies, I know, but it's something, so.
I do give advice constantly on how to not get injured off duty.
We'll put that in your bonus.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any?
Looks good.
Expire? I didn't see anything.
It gets a little bit hard to analyze because we split them, but,
Yeah.
Added a challenge, but I think it's better because it allows us to do a more accurate recoup of EMS funds, and I do believe we were missing some in the past, and this should help us make sure we get 100% of those expenditures, right, Jim? Even fuel and things like that, maintenance,
Yeah.
repairs, it's a much better
And
way to
some of the
track it.
salaries go in there too, right?
Correct.
To-
Each year, we identify 6 salaries that go into that, and the only time they change is through a retirement or a promotion. So as those employees in the EMS budget move through
They
the step
stay
plan,
in that budget.
Yeah, for consistency.
and we do 75% of the EMS coordinator also goes in there, which is our deputy chief.
Correct.
And on that note, we're currently interviewing for that, and in the budget, we budgeted the new deputy chief at about step number 8, so there's a reduction on their salaries due to that, so.
You have applicants for that position already?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we received a total of 9 applications. It's a great job.
Yeah, and
What's
pension
it?
expense, fire pension is fixed by our actuary. They tell us basically what we're gonna pay. So what you see on there is what they gave us.
They do that every year.
Yes. And they're always kind of like a year behind, because when I look at the labor that they're using for their calculation, it's under what we're budgeting. They're using assumed rates of increase, and they did mention at one of the meetings that they might have to look at that because they may be outdated, so, in the pension fund, but that, years ago, we used to have to take the actual salaries times the rate they gave us, but they went to fixed, which is much easier for us, because then we just know we gotta make this quarterly, so.
All right, well, should we head out of Public Works?
Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
That's what, that's the new rate. Well, I think it's this right here, but I added, incentive just in case. Okay, so.
Thank you.
I can give it to you for the meeting too.
Okay.
Yes.
My only comment on Public Works,
It looks great.
I got a lot of comment, but I can let you ask questions. Those, on Exhibit D, those red amounts, those are transferred, the top number up there, you see the 143, that's
Interfund.
transfer. We're transferring that to our sewer and reclaimed water fund. But that's just an estimate right now, that's why I got it in red. I just took 4%. In reality, that'll probably go up slightly, because we take the salaries of the individuals, we take health and we add that to it, so when health's going up 11%, it's gonna jack I just used 4% to get a number in so we could present today. So those two numbers and the same thing down below, that's an overhead that we allocate the sewer and reclaimed water, the 17,000. So those will change slightly, but all in all, in the big picture, I don't think it's gonna make a big difference. The only thing under salaries that Sean mentioned to me was one of his employees, he's gonna bump to maintenance two, step number 2. So there's a $4,100 increase in salaries because of that. But other than that, salaries are budgeted at 4%.
I see.
And the new employee,
Looks like it's the same areas.
they're in the works right now, so, yeah,
Retirement
finally.
Across the board, we pigeonhole in every department.
Yeah,
You know?
Otherwise, it's not bad.
Squirrels must not have eaten a lot of our lights last year.
Oh, yeah, they did. We repaired them, a lot of them. Some of them had to go bye-byes,
Gotta
but
do something.
I don't know
I'll
what to
talk to you
do.
about my ideas.
I bet we're on the same page on that one.
You wanna be involved? It'd be fun.
Involve a knife and a helmet and a light. Some camo and a ghillie suit.
Something like that.
City Hall minions.
I mean, is it gonna be, when are we gonna talk about IT? At what budget do we talk about that? Because I noticed it in everybody's budget, and I noticed that
That's
it's
velocity.
not working.
That's Velocity IQ, and I bumped it 10%. Carly's getting new quotes, but
Do we talk about it in the administrative
I mean,
budget?
we can talk about it kind of whenever. So the status of that is we need to do an RFP. We're putting together an RFP. We're working with them on basically a temporary basis because they know I'm gonna have to do an RFP for it. But with all of the other ones I've had going on, we can't do like 6 RFPs at the same time. It's just,
I mean, is it an RFP, or are we talking about maybe getting an IT person? I mean,
I think we would have a difficult time with an IT person because there's so many different specialized skills that we would need. I don't think one person can do it. I really don't.
really?
Very hard to do
I really
nowadays.
don't. I think if you have an IT department internally, you're going to end up with more than one person to try to cover everything that you need. And that's and I've talked to other. I mean, it seems like you either have a multi-person IT department or an outside firm. It's not there. There's too much change. There's too many.
So like in a
specialties,
city
there's
like
too many
Treasure
things to
Island,
know.
did they have they have an IT person? They have
They
more
have
than one?
multiple. They have.
Oh my
they
God,
have.
really?
Yeah, they have 2. I think they have 2 IT people that then have like 2 staff with them, if that makes sense.
Well, you would need a backup
So-
company with them anyway. I mean, if they go on vacation, or
Exactly.
you can't be without
It's
IT support.
there's
So
just
basically, what we're
people like
talking
me
about
on
is
a
going out
computer.
for RFP to see who responds.
correct.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Correct.
I mean, I guess you're budgeting for what you think that's gonna be.
How are they doing at the fire station, putting in all the IT stuff, chief? Velocity
They'll
working all right?
Be happy to comment.
We're pushing, we would like to see it done.
You're dragging your feet a little bit.
You have to stay involved and keep asking questions and making sure, you know, I think we could do better. They're gonna get this done, right, but, you know, most of our subs, I'm pretty hands-off at this new station, the new check. With them, it's like, okay, let's schedule meetings, let's get updates, where are we at? I see IT, how I envision it is proactive, right? If you call me out to your home for a fire alarm, I don't start asking you questions about what I should do, right? I kind of know what to look for, know how to address the alarm, get the situation under control, explain what I've done to you, and go back in service. I feel like I get a lot of questions of, you know, from an IT of what do I want to happen or take place, and that's not my field of expertise. I'm looking for someone processes, here's what we think we can do to better, assist in these processes. And I just don't get that. It's more of a, hey, what's wrong? What do you want us to do? Well, if I knew what was wrong, I would fix it myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just look for a more proactive service, especially as we transition to newer systems, right? Our record management system is brand new. We're getting ready to go to a new computer-aided dispatch system. I'm gonna need help with, making sure those things are working properly, not waiting till they break and fix them.
Right.
I mean, if we were
And I don't
to,
know how we do that, right?
Yeah.
My thought was if we had someone in-house that could learn our systems, they can better anticipate problems down the road.
I mean, that's the difficulty, is that if we were to have that, we would still likely need an outside support firm. So the question is, would there be an outside support firm that we wouldn't necessarily need an in-house person to help manage that, because they would be proactive enough on their own? Or would we need an in-house person to help almost manage
Well, if
the
not,
outside processes?
and I've
because-
seen this happen before, where you hire a firm and they dedicate someone to your operation that pretty much is what Chief is saying, that really learns your operation, and then they have backup people behind that if
Right.
that particular thing is not their expertise.
Right.
But you have the firm behind it, and then you have the guy who's going to be your go-to guy, and if
Yeah.
it's something that's outside of his scope, he goes back to the main company.
Yeah.
I know you can get a bid like
Yeah,
that.
Well, a
well,
lot of
and
these
that's
guys
what we
move
had.
on. They
Yeah,
move
that's
on to
true.
another company.
About the
Yeah.
time they learn your system.
But then
that's
but then it's incumbent on their company
Yes.
to provide somebody else, because
Well, it's
that's
like,
our
a
contract.
consultant is somebody that, like the city could always hire a consultant for major things to tell us what we need. And then that consultant could either tell our current IT company what they need to put in once we decide, or go out to bid to have those items put in. But an IT consultant, somebody that would come in, look at what exactly we want, or, tell us what we need, and then that person goes out and gets the bids for us, or works with our IT company. So you wouldn't need a full-time consultant for that sort of thing, but you can hire these people as you need them. I mean, it costs more money, of course. I mean, nothing's cheap nowadays.
But
But
maybe
at least you get what you want.
maybe in the situation we're in, we probably need something like that
Yeah.
to tell us what we need.
Correct, and that's why the RFP process has taken a bit of time, because I've been working with Treasure Island. Their IT staff is wonderful. They're very helpful. I've actually asked if we could just
I have
contract with them for IT services, but they're like, we are too busy. They are looking to add to their IT department, and they have multiple staff over there, and they're too busy. But they have been very helpful with us before, and have been willing to
Yeah.
help with an IT RFP process, but a consultant would be almost the same
See,
kind of
with the
function.
fee they would charge us, they could hire more people over there.
That's, I threw it out there. I've been trying, because their people are great.
Economies
Yeah.
of scale, right?
Their people are great. That was my thought. That's what I have been trying for.
And it may just
So-
be a business model, right? You look at Velocity IQ with multiple accounts. Because Ian's our rep now, he comes once a week, and he is nice. I'm afraid in that model, they don't have the time to commit to proactive work on our side. It's like, go out, see what they need, then move on to your next job. We did have a crisis one evening where 911 shut us off at the firewall because of a big, a threat. And so when we did ramp them up and they got their team together, in real time, they were good. I just think what we pay in their business model, that's not the kind of attention you get 24/7. That's crisis mode attention. So when they have to, they can do it. But how do we get that focused attention on our city? Because I think if someone did know our city and each, software package we're using, it could be a tremendous help.
I will say that part of why we have stayed with them for so long is they have been very budget friendly.
Yeah.
Comparatively, they are.
But
more
you're getting what you're
affordable.
paying
You're getting
for,
what you're paying
right.
for. So the question is, what are we looking for? Because if we are wanting more, it's going to be a much more significant cost, because they have been the budget friendly.
I mean, I do get from them,
So,
with the plan that I'm on, at the condo, is about once a month, I get an email from one of the top guys there, and it tells me, this computer's getting old, you should replace it, we have this price on this one, and he gives me a report on all our systems, our server, everything, of what year it is, and here's what I can get a replacement for you for, we recommend this and that. I don't know, did the city get that too from them?
No,
No? And then again, I had to sign up for a plan at the end of last year because they were eliminating their on-call, you just call, come in, you had to be under a contract with them, no matter how big of a business you
Yeah.
were. And so we're having to pay for that now.
There've gotta be companies out there that'll customize something that a small city needs. They've gotta be out there.
yeah,
And maybe it's a little more money, but I mean, we're paying money now and it's not working.
yeah.
You know, not satisfactorily to all the department heads. I mean,
No, I agree.
nobody's
I
real
agree
happy.
completely. Yep.
So if we had, maybe it's time to increase the budget now, knowing that we're gonna have to do something for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
How much more do you think you would need, but how much?
Yeah, I mean, I
How
don't
much
really,
do you increase?
I've
What
got
you're
some
paying now
preliminary.
annually, what would you think you would need in addition?
Eight-
20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand, you know, I mean, 80.
well, maybe the other thing is getting a consultant and putting that in the budget to come in and say, okay, here's all your systems. This might be what you guys are looking at.
Yeah.
And then go from there with an RFP. I think you need somebody to come in who knows what's going
That
on.
would be great, cause I was just gonna do it with Treasure Island, so they've been.
I mean,
yeah, so they've
if
been willing
you
to
mean
help,
pay
but
those guys.
Yeah, I think
Partner with them, so,
There's so many different systems.
right.
From somebody who can tell us what our needs are.
And you wanna set it up for the future. I mean, it's
Right.
not only what we have now, but what are we gonna need?
Yeah.
And what's out there in technology. We gotta get somebody
I
to
agree.
do that. That would be my recommendation.
So when we get to that point, I guess you'll let us
We-
give
can
us-
Is that in admin
I haven't,
budget?
yeah, I just wasn't ready to talk about it yet.
Okay. Well, I see it in everybody's budget, and I
Yeah.
know everybody's
I'm
been
working
kinda
on it.
griping about it,
I'm working on it, yeah.
justifiably.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you want to mention the servers?
You brought that up.
Same kind of question though. So our servers need to be replaced. We've been going back and forth with Velocity on replacing the servers, asking for quotes. We finally got a quote the end of last week, and it is significantly higher than any previous indication that we had gotten. So the question is there, why is it so much higher than what we had originally been told, and what should it be? So I'm kind of back to the drawing board a little bit with
Well,
that as well.
maybe that's
because it
part of the
was-
consultant. Do you really need, what do you really need?
Yeah, I mean, the servers are definitely due to be replaced, but there has been quite a jump from what it should have been
Are they
to what.
overselling us, you know, that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, and is there some
Quite
other
a
way?
jump, exactly.
Is
So,
there, you know,
there were these costs that
do you
were
really
expected to
need
be
those
built in, and
physical
I'm not
servers, or
comfortable with
is
them,
there
so.
something else?
Yeah, and if that is what the reasonable, realistic cost is, why were we so unprepared for that based on previous
Right.
conversations and previous work that had been done? If that makes sense, there
Some
was
of the
not
te-
there was not a line of continuity in our
Well, and some of the
discussions.
technology
So
can be less than more,
Yeah.
depending on what you're looking at,
Yeah.
you know?
So-
Like, if you look at computers now and what they were before,
Right.
some of them have come down significantly.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think,
a lot of these tech companies want you to have the latest and greatest, whereas maybe last year's model might be good enough, or
Right.
even the year before. Because if you get it new, it's still new.
right.
And the last on, and they want you to have the latest and greatest because it's fun for them, you know? 'Cause they get to work with it.
That's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah,
that when you look at your budget, I think we need to look at a consultant to come in and tell us if that's right, buying all those servers, is that what we should be doing?
Yeah. There any other questions on public works?
The only comment I had to Sean is parks operating, I bumped.
Yes, I saw that.
Sean had put 20,005 in there, I bumped it to 25. And I just
So,
I did it looking at our 5-year history.
and then the education,
We
$500.
spent 23,000 in 2022, we spent 22 in 23. And it's always hard to tell where you're gonna end up. You know, if I take what we spent in 2024, year-to-date, 8 months, and then annualize it, it comes to 24,975. So I bumped it to 25.
Yeah, that's,
So-
yeah, about close, because, you know, it's, I know, plus our
We've
busy
actually
time's
under
coming up too,
budgeted the
so
last
just
3 years.
You just don't know what's gonna happen,
under
or,
budgeted.
Right.
and that's not, that's pretty close, because I'm pretty tight on, you know, all my line items for sure. Try to keep them under. There's some things you just have to do.
Everything else I thought was reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, minor.
Looks good.
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
And that's all I have for today. The next meeting, we will get finance and administration, and we have our special activities, like the block party and stuff. We'll discuss. Pretty much those I'll budget the same, and we'll discuss it, make sure that we don't need to increase anything. And that's where I usually do it a little closer. But what I've been doing is velocity, I bump 10% from what we've been paying them, and they don't always bump us. They've actually been good over the years. This year, I think we saw some increases. They did some add-ons for us and stuff. So
Yeah, some additional
rates did
storage
go up.
and
Our
whatnot.
allocations are based on what we set up when we originally started working with them, so. But yeah, they're not very proactive in saying, they don't by any means tell us when we need new PCs or anything. And my concern on the server is, you know, maybe they're marking those things up, making a profit. I don't know if we have anything in our contract that limits.
I don't know if it's marking it
They're
up so
marked
much as just suggesting the top of everything, which, and again, if there's a need for these things, it's more the fact that I felt very caught off guard by that versus what we had been talking about for the last several months, and then to get it and it just
Right.
was not.
Plus, they
what we
back
had-
everything up to the cloud for us, off the servers, don't they?
Yes, yeah, we have offsite and cloud. Yeah, storage,
Or if anything were to happen.
so,
All right, I guess we'll see.
okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's the game plan for next time. Finance administration, then also we'll have the big picture on the general fund at that point, so we can kind of see if we're a surplus, deficit, what, and then we can start thinking about millage. I mean, I probably won't be that far by the next meeting, but we'll be set up to where we can.
When do we do that?
And then we gotta do the enterprise funds, but, the approach I'm gonna take is I'm gonna budget based on where we're at in terms of revenue. We've been increasing sewer fees every year based on what St. Pete increases our processing, but they're not gonna give us those numbers till probably August. I'm gonna put a call in, I did put a call in, they haven't called me back to see if I can get like what do you think it's gonna be, kind of a thing. But I know there's a meeting scheduled in July, so, with St. Pete. So we're not gonna have the information, so I'll, you know, give you the general budget without any fee increases, and then we're gonna have to wait. And reclaim water might be different, because I think I do know what the biggest items in those are the reclaim water. We get charged for the reclaimed water, and they've given me a schedule of increases, and they're pretty substantial. So reclaim, we might be able to, you know, figure that out now. But sewer, we're probably not gonna be in a position to determine sewer fees until maybe a little bit closer to September.
But we have to make a decision on the millage, right?
Right, well,
before.
but that's general fund, and that's what I say, once
Oh,
we
I
get
see what you mean,
finance
yeah.
and administration and the rest, then we can see that picture and be
Okay.
able to make a decision on that, I think. Okay?
Anything good for the group?
Before you, Karen, let me just give you a quick update. You may recall, probably about 6 months ago, I let y'all know that there was a law firm out of South Florida that was filing on behalf of many jurisdictions and some elected officials, a lawsuit related to Form 6. They wanted to charge us $10,000, and we decided not to get involved in the lawsuit, which I think was fine. There was just an order that came out of the federal court, that came out yesterday, issuing a temporary injunction against the enforcement of the failure to file Form 6.
Too late, I already did it.
Well, I'm right, as I sit here right now, just analyzing the case, and I would
Yeah.
not suggest right now that you take any different action than you've already taken. For those of you who have filed, you've complied with the law at that time, that is what it is. For those of you who have not filed, it's a personal decision, but I don't think it would be an unfair thing to wait to get closer to July 1st when it's due to see what's gonna happen. What I don't know, and again, we just got this case last night, we're gonna be analyzing it today, and can maybe give you a greater update at the meeting tonight. But I don't know if appeals are gonna be filed, and so I don't know if ultimately, what the status is gonna be. But right now, the temporary injunction, the way it's drafted, very, very quick reading on my part, is it enjoins, it stops the enforcement of it. So it's not saying don't file, it's saying if you don't file, the Department of Ethics cannot enforce anything against you. So that's why I'm reluctant to tell you to not necessarily do anything, because I don't want to put you in a bad position. And like I said, if you've already filed, you've already filed. It is what it is, and I don't know if on the other side of this there's not going to also be some other monetary discussion points. So save everything you got. But for now, if you haven't filed, make a personal decision if you are comfortable just not filing yet and waiting to see what happens with this. And I can continue to keep you updated. But as we get closer to that July 1st deadline, I'll have a better
Why
idea.
did they wait so long to do an injunction? I mean, people were bitching about this, what?
17 days.
Well, I mean, people were bitching about it last year.
Yeah,
I'm still working on mine.
Candidly, the whole thing was a little bit odd, the way the attorneys that got involved. The attorney, the law firm that got involved was a very well-known government, representing local governments by the name of Lois Sirota. I guess they sort of took it as an opportunity to bring on other local governments to bring, the case. So they waited a long time to file because they were actually trying to get, like I said,
More
I got an email asking, hey, do you guys want to join the suit? My answer would have been, I'd be happy for us to join the suit if you all were happy with it. Then they said, and you'll write us a check for $10,000. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be writing you a check for $10,000, I'm certainly capable of taking this case, and it probably won't cost you $10,000. So no. And I think because they took so long to sort of bring everybody on board, it
Yeah, that
took
makes
longer
sense.
to get there. I mean, and it is what it is. That being said, the injunction is a statewide injunction, so it wasn't just limited to the parties who filed the suit. And so and again, I'm analyzing it. This is the generality of what I've seen. Wanted to give you an update. I might have more information today. If not, I'm going to draft a memorandum to y'all so that you understand what it says. But I also want to make sure, that if an appeal is filed and there's no stay, so it could still be up in the air. So those of you who haven't filed, don't in your head say, oh, I'm not going to worry about this anymore. I can't give you that advice. My best thought for you, and the other thing too is I can't give you personal legal advice on filing of these forms, but I can say generally, I probably, if I were in the position of having not yet filed, would probably wait to file as we get closer to the July 1st, and hold off until then. And for those of you who had, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Some of us are just proactive,
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I haven't filed my Form 1 that I have to file yet, so.
Once
And
again-
usually what happens
once
is
again,
Carly sends me an
procrastination
email
pays off.
and reminds me.
There you go.
You're not
I
on my
just wanted
list.
to get it done.
Oh, maybe it doesn't
Me
come
too,
through.
that's just,
I'm not on your
I
list
did
of
it
people I
with
have
my
filed.
year-end numbers.
Yeah, you're not on my list of people that haven't filed.
Nah, I
You're
just-
usually on my list of people
all
that
we
are
got?
supposed to
I know,
file.
I wanna read this.
Oh,
Wow.
Let me
So
check.
Linda has something.
You're on my file.
So you'll know I'm earning my keep. This said, thank you so very much for drafting the wonderful news about Palms Gourmet Brittle that went over there. Several folks commented that they read about the bakery after reading your news article. I am so pleased to have you as my commissioner. I'll toot my horn there. You're a blessing to the South Pasadena community. Stop by when you have a moment. So at least somebody.
oh, very nice.
Who did that come
The
from?
peanut brittle.
Oh, yeah, they're nice people.
They really are.
Great. It's good to, it's nice to be acknowledged when you do something like that. Great.
Okay, I'm done.
Carly, nothing from you? You guys are off tomorrow, right?
No, it's next week.
Oh, no, wait.
Oh,
Juneteenth.
next week. I don't know. I'm retired.
Yeah,
Every,
Juneteenth is next
what's a
week.
weekend?
Every day's a
You
holiday.
know, I mean, come on.
Well, I had scheduled to remind you all to do your forms, but now it's. I guess my Form 1 filers, if you haven't done your Form 1 filer, there's a couple Form 1 filers in here that haven't done theirs yet.
I'm just impressed that
Gotta
got
get
mine
some
in.
Yeah, it
We're
says,
gonna adjourn this meeting.
That was good. It was painless.
I'm usually the worst.
Even
I
the
wait till
fire
the
budget
exact
was
last
painless.